Aesir, hail the gods. Taking a drink of mead. It's a pretty good brand, Moonlight Meadery, and it's a very dark mead, and I love dark meads, I love sweet meads. But I'd like to open with that, and today I'm going to be reading from the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson. This particular book is by Penguin Classics, and there's a particular part that I wanted to read, kind of explaining the beginning according to our ancient Northern European ancestors. And this is, the Prose Edda itself was written by Snorri Sturluson. He was not, he did not follow the old gods. He was a Christian in Iceland a few hundred years after the Viking Age, if my facts are correct. But I've read most of this book, but this one part just really sticks to me and really makes me contemplate how our Northern European ancestors really looked at the beginning of the world and how it really compares to even what we know through science today and with other ideas about creation from other traditions. So I'm going to start in this book on page 10 here, and, well, actually, no, I'm going to start on page 11, and I'm going to start with the bottom of page 11, and it's titled The Allfather. And this is from the point of view of not Snorri Sturluson, obviously, but Gangleri, a king that came to question the gods, and he came to the Allfather, and he began to question. Gangleri began to question, "Who is the highest or the oldest of all the gods?" Hai replied, "He is called Allfather in our language, but in Asgard, the old, he has 12 names." Now, there are a whole bunch of names for Odin, and he's talking to 3 different forms of Odin, through my interpretation anyway, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. He is called Allfather in our language, but in Asgard, the old, he has 12 names. One is Allfather. A second is Heron, or Herjan, Lord. A third is Nikar, or Nikkar, Thruster. A fourth is Nikuz, or Hinikud, Thruster. A fifth is Fjolnir, Wise One. A sixth, Oski, Fulfiller of Desire. A seventh, Omni, Resounding One. An eighth, Biflidi, or Biflindi, Spear Shaker. A ninth, Svaidar. A 10th, Svaidar. That was a terrible pronunciation. Let me give that another try. Svaidrir. An 11th, Vidrir, ruler of weather. And a 12th, Jalg, or Jalk, Gilding. Then Gangleri asked, "Where is this god? What is he capable of doing, and what outstanding deeds has he done?" Hai replied, "He lives through all the ages and governs all things in his realm. He decides all matters, great or small. Then just as Hai," another form of Odin, through my interpretation anyway, "then just as Hai said, he made heaven, earth, and the skies, and everything in them. The third said, most important, he created man and gave him a living spirit, that he will never die, even if the body rots to dust or burns to ashes. All men are righteous, who are righteous shall live and be with him, in that place called Gimli, or Vingolf. But evil men go to hell." Now, this is a very heavy Christian influence, evil men going to hell. Most of the other evidence we have is that hell wasn't really a place where people went to be punished. It was just a place where most people went, where consciousness is kind of recycled, and you could say purified, but more recycled back into the universe, basically, to be used again. And there's heavy influences of reincarnation throughout our Northern European ancestors, stories that survived, rune stones, and all information we have about their beliefs have elements of reincarnation if you look hard enough. And the idea, and really, hell for, like the Vikings, my ancestors, for instance, was more Niflheim, I guess you could say, or the bottom of the world tree, which wasn't hell. Hell is actually further up. The bottom of the world tree, Yggdrasil, where Nidhogg actually chews on the corpses in this vast, misty swamp of those who broke their oaths. And people suffered there, obviously. Now, if it's forever or not, there's not enough information to tell as far as what they believe. But oath breakers, those who are treacherous, those who say they'll do one thing and do something else, and not in the small sense, but in like that's who they were their entire lives. And Nidhogg will just chew on their corpses, and they'll exist there in that swampy, misty, weirdly lit place, for as long as their crimes are to be punished. Now, crimes and evil aren't really are very different concepts for our Northern European ancestors. So our Northern European ancestors believe that death was nothing. If we lived bravely, or if we were a good person and loyal to the old gods and loyal to our clan, then there are a number of places you can go. You can even go to live with Freya or Freja. Not just Odin. Odin's more if you're a warrior, but half of the warriors go to Freya in her hall, and a lot of people who are farmers go to Vanaheim, or to live with the Vanir. I'm getting a few of these details a little off, but because there's a whole bunch of different viewpoints on this, I'm just giving you what I think that I know. Now, usually when farmers live, a good productive life, and they're good to their family, their clan, then they go to live with the Vanir, the kind of earth, nature-based gods, the gods of the cycles and time. In Asgard, Odin's Hall, Valhalla, exists, and there's other halls, including Thor's Hall and other gods' halls in Asgard, but they're more gods of consciousness and of sentient deeds, not really related as much to nature. But I'll go ahead and continue. Now, let's start with, but evil men go to hell, and from there into Niflhel, dark hell, which is below in the ninth world. And Niflhel is, I believe it's another name where Nidhogg presides. He's sometimes called the World Eater. He's that serpent that lives on the bottom. He's not to be confused with Jormungand, which is the world serpent that kind of he's a serpent of time, and he basically holds in all the oceans. Our Viking ancestors believed, and he grows bigger and bigger. And he's one of Loki's sons, just like Hela as a daughter, and Fenrir is another son, the wolf that will eat Odin in the end. That is another son of Loki, Loki the trickster god, who is technically among the Aesir, but it has Jotun blood in him, Jotun giants. Now, next, just as I don't want to skip that. Gangleri then asks, what did he do before heaven and earth were created? He's talking about Odin. Hai answered, back then he was with the frost giants. Niflheim and Muspelheim, another section. Gangleri asks, what was the beginning, or how did things start? What was there before? Hai answered, as it says in Sibyl's prophecy, early of ages, when nothing was, there was neither sand nor sea, nor cold waves. The earth was not found, nor the sky above. Ginnungagap was there, but grass nowhere. That's part of Sibyl's prophecy. Next, just as I said, Niflheim, dark world, was made many ages before the earth was created, and at its center is a spring called Hvergelmir, roaring kettle. From there flow those rivers called Svlo, Gunthra, Fjorm, Fimbulthul, Slid, and Hlid, Silk, and Yilk, Vid, and Lepir. Also there is Gjol, which lies next to Helgrind, gates of hell. Once again, there's some Christian influence in some of these understandings. Then third said, first, however, there was that world in the southern region which is called Muspel. It is bright and hot. That region flames and burns, and is passable for foreigners, and is impassable for foreigners, and those who cannot claim it as their native land. Surt, Black One, is the name of he who waits there at the land's edge to defend it. He has a flaming sword, and when the end of the world comes, he will set off to battle and defeat all the gods, burning the whole world with fire. So it is said in the Sibyl's prophecy. Surt comes from the south with the fiery destruction of branches. the sun shines from the sword of the gods of the slain. Stone cliffs tumble, and troll witches stumble. Men tread the road to hell as the sky splits apart. Now, Surt, a lot of people think that we get the idea, some of the aspects of Satan from Surt, or maybe also from the occult kind of version of Surt, but maybe not connected, Sorath. But that's another topic. Surt can be described as not only a destroyer, something that will destroy everything, but, well, taking consideration that the Aesir and everything that comes out of the Hell Plane and the Jotun will fight, and of course the Vanir will also fight the Jotun and what comes out of Hell. And everything's going to destroy each other. It's not like the so-called bad, evil or good are one or the other is going to win. Both are going to fight, and there's going to be nobody left except for maybe a couple of humans, as the story goes, and Baldur, which actually will remain dead until he comes back after this cycle ends at Ragnarok. And at Ragnarok, when all the gods face each other, the vast majority of them will destroy each other, and there will be very few left. And then the next cycle will eventually be started by a new I guess you could say, pantheon of gods that take up the similar roles. And these cycles go over and over again until this mystical truth is realized. And there are heavens that are higher, even in Norse mythology, than Asgard or Valhalla. The Light Elves live higher up, and it is said in a few different passages that those who go to higher heavens than that in Asgard will actually survive and not be affected by the cycle process. So the whole point is to get up as high as you can and eventually merge with the source, according to some texts. Now, once again, Surt is a destroyer, but he's also a creationary force because he's at the beginning, and he is the fire and invigorating aspect that kind of met with the static, lethargic ice to create, basically, think of matter meeting with dark matter at the beginning, and these two forces making this universe possible, which that's what happened scientifically, and it really is very similar with Ginnungagap and at the beginning. But of course, if you want to look into Ginnungagap, I would highly recommend that. And actually, the next part is going to talk a little bit about it. Ginnungagap and the emergence of Ymir. Gangleri asks, how were things set up before the different families came into being and mankind increased? Hai replied, when those rivers, which are called Elevagar, storm waves, came so far from their source, the poisonous flow hardened like a slag of cinder running from a surface, and it became ice. When this ice began to solidify and no longer ran, poisonous drops spewed out and froze into icy rime, hoarfrost. Then layer by layer the ice grew within Ginnungagap. Then just as Hai said, that part of Ginnungagap which reached into the northern regions became filled with thick ice and rime. Inside the gap there was mist and wind-whipped rains. But the southern part of Ginnungagap grew light because of sparks and glowing embers flowing from Muspelheim. Then Third spoke, just as coldness and all things grim came from Niflheim, which is the opposite of Muspelheim. The regions bordering on Muspelheim were warm and bright, and Ginnungagap was as mild as a windless sky. It thawed and dripped, and at the point where the icy rime and the warm winds met, there was a quickening in these flowing drops, and life sprang up, taking its force from the power that sent the heat. Then this basically asserts that Surt actually had a big hand in creation, not only the destruction that will come later at Ragnarok. The likeness of a man appeared, and he was named Ymir. The frost giants called him Argelmir, and from him come the clans of the frost giants, as it says in the shorter Sibyl's prophecy. All the seeresses are from Vidolf, all the wizards from Vilmid, but the sorcerers are from Svartholfdi, and all the giants come from Ymir. Here, as the giant Vafthrudnir says, from the Agelmir first came the wise giant among sons of giants. When poison from Elvagar splashed out in drops, it grew until forming a giant. From there all our clans have come, therefore they are all so cruel. Then Gungleri asked, how did the families grow from that point, or how did it come about that others came into being? And do you believe that the one whom you were just talking about is a god? Once again, a little bit of Christian influence. Hai answered, in no way do we accept him as a god. He was evil, as are all his descendants. We call them frost giants. And once again, the Christian interpretation of evil. It is said that as he slept, he took to sweating. Then from under his left arm grew a male and a female, while one of his legs got a son with the other. From here came the clans that are called the frost giants. The old frost giant, him we call Ymir. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end at the top of page 15 is where we got to. I hope that these few details that I've added to the reading of this, which I'm not great at pronunciation, I'm really not, as far as languages that I don't know. But I hope that some of the details that I put in there were helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them down in the comment section below. If you have any comments or you want to exchange information about this, feel free to shoot down in the comment section below. Thought this video was interesting, y'all, hit that thumbs up down there. And I hope to read more from the Prose Edda in the future for y'all. And if you want me to, feel free to tell me. Thank you very much.